E-L-O-E-J, a little aloha in our day. Spread a little aloha around the world at breakfast with Bob.
Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome, everybody. Breakfast with Bob, our not quite Kona edition. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are brought to you by Master Spas, S Fuels, Hoka, Form Smart Swim Goggles, Katana Roo, Zoot, Premium Plus Sports, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. In our first 29 years, we've raised $150 million and sent out over 40,000 grants to challenged athletes all over the world. Our next guest, simply the best triathlete on the planet. In 48 races since 2014, she's won 41 of them. She's now got 5 Ironman World Championship titles, 5 70.3 World Championship titles, 2 Olympics. Her name is Daniela Ryf. Daniela, how are you?
Hi, Bob. Thank you. I'm very well.
And how is it being back on Maui? Because we forget we haven't been on Kona since 2019, but that means you haven't been training on Maui.
Yes, it's wonderful to be back here. Being back in the heat, the humidity, it also reminds me how brutal it is, but I also love it here. I ran in the lava fields just a few days ago, and it's just, I don't know, the nature and the landscape is just so spectacular. It just always blows my mind away, and I love landscape, and this is, the lava fields is it's a tough kind of landscape, but it's still really fascinating. And to be back training here, preparing for the big race is definitely brings good memories out, but also just loving the training and brings out lots of smiles. Yeah.
Was it hard for you? Because PTO had Canadian Open, US Open, $1 million prize purse for each one of those. Was it hard for you to say, okay, I'm focused now, I've done Collins Cup, I'm focusing on Kona, and that's it?
Of course, one part of me would have loved to line up, especially Dallas looked like a really cool race. But there's so many good races out there, and you have to really focus. And for me, it was clear I want to show my best possible in Kona. And that's why I decided to really put all the preparation for Kona. And I knew I wanted to be in Maui in that time because I want to have a phase of 4 weeks where I can 3 weeks of really good training in the heat. Yeah. And that's just, I didn't want to take the risk of trying to do too many things. And I'm in a good or fortunate position that I don't need to chase the money. I can pick the races I want to pick, and for me, there's no other race than Kona, which means so much to me. So that was not such a hard decision. But when I watched the race, of course, I was like, oh, that looks like a good battle. But the girls looked really strong. Well done for Ashley. I was really happy for her.
So with World Championships being on the 6th October, and then 70.3 Worlds being late October, will you try to double and do both?
No, I won't. I really put all my effort for Kona. That's the one and only race I want to do. And so it was also, it's a little bit of a hard decision, but I do know how I mentally want to prepare for this race. And this race you need a lot of mental strength for that race. And yes. I do know how I feel normally after. And it's been an amazing year for me. I can't really lose anything anymore. And so that's why I said I want to focus on Kona, and then I'll have a break. I'll go home. We'll move into the house and then have some holidays. And so, I will take some time off and settle and just, give the body some rest also.
So the last time we did a Zoom chat, you talked about, because it's funny how quickly people forget how dominant you have been. And if you have a couple of races that aren't Daniela Ryf type races, people start thinking, oh, she's done. Her career is over. and it was your godson who said, "Oh, that's my Daniela, my godmother. She used to be good at triathlon." What's he saying now?
Yeah, I mean, I actually haven't seen him for a while now because it's just been so intense. The summer, I was pretty much in the camp all the time. So, but yeah, I saw him after St. George, and he was definitely happy. But he also he promised me to still like me if I don't win. So it's not like he only likes me if I win. He's a good boy.
That's nice. He'll still
Yeah.
talk to you if you don't
Yeah,
win.
he still talks to me.
That's great. Well, this year with Collins Cup, and obviously last year, you going into that Collins Cup, I think that you were in a different position than you were this year. Going there fit and ready to race, I'm betting it was a lot more fun being at Collins Cup.
Yeah, definitely. It was much more fun to be healthy and race, and also last year I felt, yeah, I mean, I wanted to not let the team down. That's why I raced, because I already before the race I knew I was not feeling well.
Right.
And at least I got 1 point, but of course I was disappointed. And this year I could really support the team. I felt like, I mean, yeah, I could bring them 6 points, which just is a great feeling, and to contribute, something to the success of the Team Europe. And that was definitely very nice. And also in general, just the performance, I was very happy with all the 3 disciplines. So that gave me a little good boost to see that I'm even in the middle distance still okay. I do not feel like that's my best distance anymore. I do feel stronger in the long distance.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, the girls are fast, and I definitely have a lot of respect from them. So to line up against Flora Duffy, I can tell you I was so scared. I remember before the race, like 2 minutes before the race, I said to her, "I'm not sure if I want to do this." Like I know how strong she is, and I actually think I think she hasn't got the 7.3 tick yet, but she will, and she's so tough. And I think with the training she does, and with her as just being such a strong athlete, she will be very good in 7.3. And so yeah, I was definitely scared to race her, and she definitely brought the best out of me. I was from the start, I knew I had to be like on my best, and I pushed that bike really hard.
Oh, that's so cool. There's, when you look at the history of Kona and history of Ironman World Championship, so Paul Newby-Fraser has 8 titles, and Natasha Bodman and Mark Allen Dave's got to have 6. You have 5. So if you happen to win this time, you join some pretty rare company with winning a 6th title. Does that mean much to you, or are you the type of person that you look at that stuff when you're done with your career?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I try really not to count the titles in terms of how I want to get as many titles, because I think it's not motivating at all. Like I did that maybe 2 years ago. I was like, okay, I need to make a new goal. And I was like, okay, I want to have this many titles. And it took me about 5 minutes till I realized that's way too long. Like it's such a, you don't want to focus on one.
Doing this until you're
like
50 years
step
old.
by step. And I think that's the key. Like I want to focus on a great race, and to make this race a memory and actually people remember. So I think that's still my goal. I want to this year go out in Kona and just show a race which people will remember. And that's always been my motivation. And I think if I do that well, there's a good chance I can win this race.
So when you went to St. George for the Ironman World Championships, and actually nobody's ever won 2 Ironman World Championships in the same year. That could be pretty cool too. This is even though they consider that the 2021, it was May and October.
Yeah.
So that would be pretty fun. St. George was a really fun race to watch, and I think it was a fun race for you to race in, because on the bike you guys were going back and forth. There was other people there. It wasn't in a lot of races. There's Lucy off the front, and then you're chasing. But you had a nice little group that you were competing with on the bike. Mm-hmm. Was that fun for you?
That was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah.
Coming out, I mean, I didn't have the best swim in St. George, but then I was really not worry too much. I jumped on a bike and I felt good, but I could see like Kat Matthews was really motivated. Lisa was pushing, and it was the first time I felt like, yeah, it's like a bit of tactic here. And I remember when I took the lead from Kat, I said, let's go together. And I mean, there's Anne Haug, who's a super fast runner, so I think it's in all of our interest to not be too close to her when we get off the bike. So
yes,
there's it's good to find, or it's nice to find people with same interests. So I would say it was definitely new feeling, and yeah, we'll see how it will, be in Kona. I think with having it an ocean swim plus a non-wetsuit swim, it could be a bit different. Some years we remember it's like all coming together, and sometimes it really spreads it out. So I think that's always a bit, you never know. We'll see on race day. And one is pretty clear: Lucy will be up the front, and I actually love that she's racing because yeah, it's always, I love to catch, and
yes.
I think it's pretty clear that we will have to catch her, and that's another different factor to St. George, and will make it more interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say that having Lucy back, I mean, a lot of people will be thinking, oh no, another top competitor, but you're the type of, at this stage of your career, you want to race the best people at the biggest races. I mean, that's what matters. You could go and win some small race somewhere, and that's nice. But when you go with the big spotlight, with everybody there, nobody's going to Kona going, well, I'm actually training for Arizona and I'm just training through this. Everybody's in Kona ready to go and win the most important race in the sport. And I'm guessing that that's important to you, to not just to be competing against the best people at the top of their game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Lucy's racing style fits me well, because she's someone who's also pushing the bike. And in Kona, she didn't have that great run yet. So she will be interested to push it hard on the bike. And it will give more, dynamics, because there will be Anna trying to come in as fast as possible off the bike, and then she can probably outrun anyone, and then there's so many other players in there, you don't know how Kat will do, Heather Jackson, Lisa,
Laura Phillip, yes,
and Laura, of course. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited for this race. It's going to be brutal, but it wouldn't be Kona if it's not difficult.
Do you like the idea of two separate races, having the women's race on Thursday and the men's race on Saturday?
Yeah, it's great, because then I can go to the, thank God I'm not racing after party or a free party. I already got medals on people. I think it's great that women have their own race. We will see how it will be in terms of coverage. It will be a long time to watch if you want to watch two races within 3 days. If you're in Europe and you have to work as well, and maybe have some kids. So I don't know how that goes. But it will definitely be great to have, no interruptive players, and so there's no one coming from the back, so I think that's important, that it's fair and clear. I do feel a lot of respect for the volunteers. I don't know, like the ones who do the 2 days, I have my full respect. I think we need to think of something to thank them, because that's going to be tough. But it makes everything bigger. There's going to be more people on the island, so it'll be it's just going to be a new experience, and then we can learn from that. It's definitely going to be packed, and but there's enough space in the ocean for everyone, so I think we should be all fine, and the party's going to be bigger also, so that's a good thing.
Exactly. So if somebody had told you after your 2 times at the Olympics that you would eventually win 5 Ironman world titles and 5 70.3 world titles, would you have been like, what are you talking about? I'm going for my 3rd Olympics. There's no way that I'm going to go do that.
Yeah, that was a rough time after London. I would not have wanted to go for a 3rd Olympics. That was very clear. So for me, it was either going, either stopping, because I started my food
Your
degree,
school?
food
Yeah.
science. So I started studying, and I saw like that maybe that's I need to. I always go the way where I feel like that feels right, and the food degree felt right. I loved it, and then I was like, sitting in class for 8 hours, and I was like going around like this, and I didn't feel comfortable to sit that long. And then I realized that how much I loved training, and I would sneak out at lunchtime and in the morning, and that's how I kind of discovered again. I'm not done yet, and 70.3 was pretty much the distance where I felt like, okay, maybe let's try this. And I'm so happy and grateful that I did try this, because I never dreamed of having such another career after my Olympic career, and it definitely brought me to a totally different path, and definitely a very interesting and amazing path.
It reminds me, there used to be this great runner named Greta Waitz, who had, was an Olympic, more of a, at that point, they didn't even have 5 and 10,000, right? She had shorter distance, and she came over New York City Marathon to end her career and ended up winning it 9 times. It was like she wasn't planning and it's you all have always reminded me of that if you could have ended your career after the Olympics and said, okay, that's as far as I'm going to go. I'm going to go to school, get my degree, and move on. And here you've built such a great legacy for yourself by taking a chance and doing something totally different. It's still a swim, bike, run, but you're going from something that's a couple of hours to something that's all day.
Yeah, I guess I just felt like I could give it a try. And I don't think it would have been wrong to do another path. Who knows what I would be doing now, but it doesn't really matter, because the path I could go as the last 8 years have been absolutely amazing. And I'm definitely grateful for that this could have happened, because back there I wasn't sure. And I think if you have passion for something, you will feel it. And that's kind of that moment in class. I was like, no, I don't really have passion to sit 8 hours a day. I have passion for something else. And that's where I discovered I think I need to be an athlete. I still want to keep up the training. And then without having the pressure, I just tried to do some races. I had 2:14. I had a few races, and then I joined Brett in Cozumel, and he was like, we're gonna do some stuff with you. We're gonna do some good things. And I was actually up for the challenge. And not long. No, wait, I skipped a year. It was 2:13. I'm sorry. Yeah, and then 2:14, I was already at the Ironman World Championship. So everything from there went suddenly very quick. And I guess that's life. You just have to follow, and how do you say, you go the path you feel like feels right. And suddenly, if there's an opportunity coming, you pick it and see what happens. And I think that's my whole career was always a little bit like this. There was an opportunity coming, and you have to take it. But like they are always there. And I think if you willing to take a little bit of the risk, or just it's not even a risk, maybe it's just see what happens, and see where this path leads you. And I think there you can never go wrong, because you can just learn from this path. If it doesn't end up being, if you don't end up being a world champion, it's not really bad. There's you still learn from it.
A lot of times you're racing, and there's a race where you learn something about yourself. You learn, maybe it's, not so much the best race you've ever had, but a race that told you, you know what, I could be good. I could be better at this than I thought, or I can take my career in another direction. Because there had to be a race when, and I don't know if it was with Brett or before Brett, where you decided, you know what, I think I'm more of a diesel engine here. I think I should be going longer. Because the problem with that, the WTS races, it's more of a criterium type of bike race, and you're accelerating and backing off, and other people really determine how the race goes, where when you do long distance, it's you against you.
Yeah,
which race was it that told you I could be great at long distance?
yeah, it was probably the first 7.3 or not. I think my first was St. Pölten in 2013, but then I did Wiesbaden was it the European Championship?
Yeah, European Championship.
And I believe I won it, or I'm not sure, or I got second. I'm not sure. But that was the race where I felt like, oh wow, this is like, that fits me. And from there, that's where I also then, shortly after this, I made the decision to go to the 7.3 Worlds. That time it was in Vegas. Yes. And straight after this, I went to join the camp from Brett in Cozumel. So from there, I felt, when I did Wiesbaden, I realized how much I loved it, because it's a tough bike course, and I could really feel like, okay, here I can actually bring out my strengths. Where, like you said, in ITU, it's hard to have a breakaway. I had a few with Lisa and Mofi, and with a few great athletes, but it's not so easy to show your strength on the bike. And that was definitely in my favor to have the bike it has a bigger importance in the race, but also I loved the independency. I always been a person who likes to be independent, and I think I learned that from my mom. She always taught me to work for my things, and I love that. I think it's something I really feel like helped me a lot in my life, to know that you don't just get things for granted, you have to work for them. And I then, that's when, where was I? I got lost now. You have to help me.
Basically, Wiesbaden was a race that told you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I felt like,
this is better for me. This suits me.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do the race. You're not depending on the others. You can actually control your effort, and you can, if you're ready, the chance you're going to have a good race is pretty big. And in ITU, you always have to hope that you have some help from others on the bike, and I never liked that so much. And so I think, if you prepared well, the chance in a long distance race is in your favor.
I remember talking to Caroline Steffen once, and she had been a bike racer, and she was always the person pulling somebody who would go off and win. And then when she did a triathlon, she's like, well, wait a second, I can go off and win on my own. I don't need these other people. And that's sort of like with the ITU races, if you can't swim with that lead pack, you need other people to work with you. And if they don't work with you, then you can't do anything. And with Brett being such an integral part of your success from when you started working with him and all the success you had, how hard was it to decide, you know what, I think I want to control my own destiny again and coach myself?
I think it was a bit of a phase. I mean, with having Corona, we saw each other a lot in St. Moritz, because there were no pools open in my hometown. So I decided to pretty much live in St. Moritz. And there I just realized I need to change something. I wanted to be, a bit more at home, but also I kind of knew the training. And I felt like as long as I have my rhythm, I can do it also. And I think it was not having the races, which helped me to then find, the courage to actually change something, because before it was always like the next race was just around the corner. So I didn't feel the courage to just say, you know what, I'm just going to try something. So I think it took a while to realize, okay, it doesn't, like, you can try things. It doesn't, always have to be perfect. And so I had a while where I still trained with a training partner who was coached by him. So we kind of had a bit of a mix, and that was sometimes great. Sometimes it's hard, because of course I also have great memories from the squad. And so for me, it took a while to realize, okay, I'm actually happy to train on my own, especially I can, yeah, like I felt like I didn't have to compare every day. And first I thought, okay, I might get worse or I might get slow if I don't compare myself every day, but it doesn't seem like I did. I still won St. George. So I think it actually took a little bit the pressure off me to have someone, comparing in the swim all the time and on the bike. So that was a process where until I could appreciate to actually just to know that I do put enough effort in if I try my best. And and then I don't coach myself all alone at the moment. I have an advisor who's actually, he's very close to Brett, so I still do pretty much all the sessions I did with him. I haven't really changed much because I do know it works. I think I do believe he's the best coach I've ever. He brought me up to 9 world titles, and in one way, yes. Even St. George is a little bit his work also, because I trained so much with him during Corona. So So I think for me it was a little bit of a phase of where I had to find myself, like what I feel like comfortable with, and now I have someone I can reach out. I can plan my program, but I have someone who gives you some advice in terms of, hey, that's maybe a little bit too much, or hey, take that rest, because like it's harder to decide on your own. I'm just going to take a rest. And I think to have a feedback from someone else is important. You can't do it alone. And that's something I also, I'm really happy with, because if you have, it's always good to have a second view. Sometimes when you're in your little bubble of training, the fitter you, it's actually funny, the fitter you get, the more you train, and you think you train less because you don't feel like you're training much. And that's very dangerous, because if you don't really report it, and sometimes to have someone giving you a feedback is very helpful. And with Michael Harvey, I definitely have someone who's smart, and also not, it's actually quite difficult to find someone who can be so much in the background. Most want to get the fame, and I really stay away from these people. And with him, I have someone who's really not about the fame. He really cares about me as a person. And right. That's nice to have someone as an advisor and a friend.
And what's cool is, before St. George, you went to Sedona. You basically locked yourself down, and you were training in a very similar type of, very similar to what you were going to face in St. George. Then you go to Maui, and you've got a system that works. You go and train in a locale that mirrors what you're going to be racing, and you spend the quality time, and you're a little off the grid doing your own thing, and then you go and perform. I don't usually see a lot of emotion from you in races, but when you came across that finish line in St. George, you're about as emotional as I've ever seen you. And I don't know how much of that was just, hey, you know what? A lot of people have been questioning, a lot of people have been doubting me. I'm back, and this is, I've never really left. And now I'm finally healthy, because you're not someone to make excuses either. So you didn't really talk a lot about the fact that you hadn't been feeling well, and when you went to some of those other starting lines. But did you feel more emotion when you came across that St. George finish line than you have in a while?
It's interesting. I definitely had huge emotions, but I also had huge emotions for all the other wins, but they were very different. Right. I remember 217, it was just like release. I just wanted to lie on the floor, and I was so tired, and I was just, I'm there, and I was happy, but I'm happy there. And 18 was just overwhelming with that story,
jellyfish.
And so then it's sometimes, there's different emotions, and quiet satisfaction is hard to bring out. So it's not like the loud satisfaction where, you're right, St. George was very loud satisfaction. It was almost like a fist in all the haters, it felt like in one way, proof prove them wrong, but it was actually, I did quite a bit of thoughts on that, because it was not really my motivation to prove them wrong, but I could feel like it came out in the end, that I had it in me, that I felt like I was having people doubting me. So I felt like it was a nice side effect that to prove them wrong. But it was mainly also the all the work which I put in 2.5 years of work, and it was not easy work. I was injured, but I trained so much. Like I trained so much swimming, so much biking. And so to actually bring this together, and it was like a Belohnung, I don't know the English, like a gift, or how do you say, like a treat for 2.5 years of work. And that felt, it was like all that past I could kind of like let go. I was like, okay, now that's the satisfaction of 2.5 years of hard work. That's what it felt.
You reap the benefits of that investment of 2.5 years of work that people don't see. That's the stuff you put on your own.
Yes, and maybe I think it was also a little bit the maybe like anger of not being able to race. You know, I mean, I never felt. I mean, I always try to look at the positive thing. You know, when the year before Kona got cancelled, so I took holidays, and that was great. So you can always make it nice, but it was still, I mean, we couldn't race the biggest race of the year for 2.5 years. And I noticed that now, since I'm now building up for Kona again, that's all my fire. And it's almost like someone just, you know, you have that fire, and it just kind of, you take it away the air, and you just make it die. And then it's hard to, I mean, there's other fires I have in my life, but it's still a very big part of my life. And I get up last year through summer, I got up every morning to get ready for Kona. And so having that canceled definitely, made something with me. And I think that's also why it felt just such a long time. And that's why I'm also so grateful now to be back here in Maui, and on Maui it is a wonderful place to be. And I think I think we're all going to appreciate it even more now that we can be back.
Well, and you think about it, it wasn't when it was canceled for October of 2020, then it was like, okay, we're going to be in February. And so then you're still, it's not like, okay, we're canceling till the next October. So you still had to be full, okay, I'm going to train to February, and then February's canceled. Then it's going to be the next October. Then it's going to be the next February. And it's like, it's hard to stay focused when you don't see a finish line, right? You don't know when this thing's going to actually happen.
Yeah. It's like when you run a marathon and you're halfway, and they said, we're just adding a marathon. Yeah. And then you're in the marathon, you finish the marathon, and they add another marathon. It's that's about how it felt.
Well, it's just hard to maintain focus. And that's you are all about focus and knowing.
Yeah. I mean,
today, I'm coming to Maui. I'm going to be here for 3-4 weeks, and then I'm going to go. You're very calculated in what you do. How long do you want to keep racing? Is it gotten to the point where obviously you still love it? You can see it in your eyes that this means a lot to go back to Kona and potentially get number 6. But I also think that you're the type of person, you just want to be there on the start line with the best people. Whatever happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely all on fire for this year, and I don't know, like I take year by year. I don't think I'll do it until I'm 50. That's for sure. I definitely never want to go to Kona not being ready for it. I feel like wherever I compete, I want to compete well. And so I'll see. I mean, no one knows. So it's an interesting time of triathlon. I think with having so many young ones coming, I feel really inspired also by them, and they're different. There's different attitudes there. I don't really want to compare. It feels like there's young vibes coming, and I really love it. I feel it in the Collins Cup. It's just great how the sport evolving. I think it's just pushing these levels higher and higher, and even just well, I'm really keen to see how fast we can go in Kona this year with all that new material. I think it's going to be a bit faster than we used to be, and yeah, it's all these aspects which play an important role, and also having so many good races out there on the circuit. So there's definitely lots of options, and I will, after Kona, go back home, have a rest, and then I'll decide what to do next year. So I think just taking year by year, and definitely don't feel like I need to add anything. I just, yeah, I pick some races I like, and then I go for them, and that worked really, really well. But definitely I do feel like, yeah, I don't have forever left. And I think that's also a reason why I do enjoy it more and more, because I feel like, yeah, if you don't enjoy the journey, it's soon over, and then yeah, then it's a bit sad. So I try to really embrace everything I can, and just yeah, see where we say, how do you say, take year by year.
See where it takes you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. Daniela, it is always such a treat to get to chat with you. It's such a great way to lead off Kona week. We head over on Monday and start our interviews on Wednesday, and having you on to kick things off is always a treat. Thank you for always being so generous with your time, and it'll be a treat to have you. Thank God I'm not racing this year for the first time.
That's Thursday night, is it?
It's Friday night.
Ah, okay. That's
you
better.
race Thursday. And
yeah,
then
no,
Friday
that would
night.
have been tough.
So yeah, you can stay out all night. You don't have to worry about getting up in the morning. You can go right from the party to the start line and watch the boys. Get a cup of coffee.
I mean, yeah, we'll see. But I'm definitely going to support the boys. That's for sure. That's priority. But I'm definitely up for some good times after the race also. That's if I can still walk then.
One thing you mentioned, which we're seeing it with the guys and the women as well. It used to be people went to, they geared up for the Olympics and didn't move into longer distance till they were closer to 30. Now we're seeing a lot of the women and a lot of the guys are 22, 23, 24. They're moving up to iron distance and 70.3 and bringing that raw speed and a lot of ability to train to the game. So that's got to make it more fun for you, is having, people you've never seen before coming and racing, going, okay, this is great. They're going to push me.
Well, it's actually funny because it's people I've seen before. It's even more fun,
Yes,
like Ashley Gentle, Flora Duffy. I raced with them. I trained with Ashley Gentle on the Gold Coast. I don't even know, 10 years ago. And that's why I have such huge respect from them, because I know how good they are, and I know how they beat my ass 10 years ago. And so yeah, it's great. I mean, it's it feels almost a bit like old times, but kind of, yeah, I don't know, it feels, I mean, Flora has been in the sport for a very long time, and seeing her in the Collins Cup was very special. And it was kind of funny because we found out we raced each other the last time in London at the Olympics.
At the Olympics.
2012. Yeah, so 10 years ago. And back there we were both not, I mean, yeah, we had good careers, but not so great. And from there, she really, really took the how do you say?
She took got the gold medal.
And really went up steep, and for me as well, it went really well. So it just felt so really cool to see, and how we went different paths, but very successful. And it was really a special moment when we realized how we went our different paths, but both really enjoying their paths.
Love it. Daniela, thank you again for taking so much time. Such a treat. And we'll see you over in the Big Island in just a couple of weeks.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Daniela Ryf has been our guest, everybody. Again, Breakfast with Bob, Not Quite Kona edition. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. See ya.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Daniela.